So we have read different books of hers. You've read...
I read All Our Yesterdays.
Yes, the big one. Introduced by...
I don't know.
Sally Rooney, no less. Or maybe you didn't.
I didn't
register that. You were like, I want to get to the book.
Yeah, I didn't read the introduction.
Yeah, the introduction of that, like the first line that she writes is actually pretty telling. If you want to read it.
When I first read Natalia Ginzburg's work several years ago, I felt as if I was reading something that had been written for me, something that had been written almost inside my own head or heart. Yeah, I did read it.
It was Sally Rooney.
Yeah, because I was like, ooh.
So we're gonna talk about most of her books, because there's some here that we don't have. We have read, so we've read The Little Virtues of hers, and we also read The Dry Heart, which I talk about in another video, in my favorite books of 2023 video, which we intended to book club. But yeah, that we were just the two of us.
Yeah.
So we're like, let's talk about it some more.
Let's talk about it
now. This is the book club. Today, it's the book club now. So The Little Virtues is her only essay collection. No, that's not true. Actually, we have 2 essay collection of hers. Some of The Little Virtues essays are in this one. This is called A Place to Live. I think this was published way before, so it compiles these essays plus others. But I would suggest, if you want to, I think The Little Virtues, this edition, is a really good introduction to Natalia Ginzburg, because was it also the first one that you read of hers, or did you read something else first?
No, I read I read The Dry Heart first.
For the book club.
Yeah, of course. The Dry Heart, then All Our Yesterdays, and only then did I read The Little Virtues, and I'm now reading Family Lexicon.
We're gonna talk to each other about the books that we have read of hers. So you read Family Lexicon and All Our Yesterdays. I read Sagittarius. It has the same vibe than the Dry Heart. Like, you can feel that it's building up to something, but you don't know what, and you have an idea what, but it gets so grotesque, like it gets so absurd. But anyway, we'll talk about it later. Yeah. And I also read The Road to the City. There's other books that we haven't read, but that we can talk about as well. And I heard great things about this book. This is Happiness as Such, which is an epistolary novel. I think that's how you say it. So it's written only in letters. A lot of famous books are written in this format, such as The Dangerous Liaisons, which is like the 17th century French book. I don't know if you know it.
Yeah.
They made a movie about it. Yeah, they made a movie about it with, what's his name? Glenn Close and John Malkovich. It's a really good movie as well. Pretty close to the book. I really liked it. And so this is interesting. I really want to know.
But is it fictional? Or
yeah,
is
it's fiction.
Letters she actually wrote to people?
It's fiction. It's like a novel written in letters.
Cool.
So I think that's pretty cool. Oh shit. I opened the page and the first line I read is, "Michele never sucked my blood," said Osvaldo.
I love the names.
What? But I feel like in the here you have also Michel. I don't know how they pronounce it there. Michele.
Michele.
Oh my gosh, Italians are gonna mock us. Be nice. Ada as well. You also have Ada and Michele, or Michel in Elena Ferrante's books.
Really?
Yeah, like these two names. Often they have very I mean, I don't know, it's Italy, so it's like kind of...
Yeah, it's like
in France, Michel aussi, or Jean-Louis, or at the time. I think now people are getting a bit more wild with their like name choices.
Definitely.
We're not going to talk about our kids' names. This is private life. So yeah. So, let's start.
I think it's one of her earliest novels.
Okay,
you
cool.
can see like a difference between how this is written and the one we both read, The Dry Heart.
I think this one was the one that she probably wrote last. Family Lexicon, something like that.
Probably, yeah.
Well, we can only speculate. But yeah.
This one is sometimes like the prose and like the subtleties in The Dry Heart are sometimes
so good.
a bit
They're
more
so
like
good.
the same word, the fragility, like the
frailty.
Frailty, yeah.
I think
is much
fragility.
more
Do you say fragility? La fragilité. Bah, je sais pas. La fragilité.
Vulnerability?
Yeah,
vulnerability. Like in the dry heart sometimes was like almost heartbroken. With this one and like more it's so nice because you have like this just rolls.
Alright. That makes me quite curious. I feel like I love these kind of like family novels. I wasn't really interested in them before. I think before, I don't know, I had this very like, you know, hero's journey, individualistic way of looking at stories. I think because I've evolved and now I have a more of like, you know, we have kids and we are more attached to our family. It feels like these family narratives are much more engaging to me now than they were before.
Yeah, because there's such a big theme in it.
Yeah, there's so much you can explore. I mean, it's like the basis of life, like she says in Human Relations. But anyway, so the next book we're going to talk about is The Road to the City by Natalia Ginzburg. Who's back? So The Road to the City was written by... She wrote it...
Serious?
No, it was literally a slip. I wasn't serious. But anyway.
So this is the first one.
Maybe. Yeah, I think so. I guess so. We're just speculating.
Tell me about it though.
Now I'll read the front.
Oh, sorry. Yeah. It is.
It is?
I think. 47. That's
pretty
early.
That's super early. We were not alive. So this Delia is one of, probably it's pronounced Delia, so I'm just going to pronounce it Delia. Delia is one of 5 children growing up in a poor Italian village. She is 17 and dreams of marrying a rich man. She dreams of a grand apartment in the city and silk stockings. To escape her father's neglect and her mother's sadness, she begins to take the dusty road to the city every day, accompanied by Nini, her sweet and mysterious cousin. When Nini takes a job in a factory and moves in with the city, Delia sees another way of being. But when she discovers she's pregnant, she agrees to marry the father, seduced by the promise of wealth and comfort. Nothing, not even Nini's desperate declaration of love, can stop her, but her rejection will be his undoing. Ooh, The Road to the City is a short, poignant novel about the dreams of youth and the cruelty it takes to make them come true.
I'm intrigued.
I am too. I mean, I read it, but the thing is I only have glimpses of it in my head. I remember much more Sagittarius, this one. This was the first one I read of hers after The Little Virtues. So this was the first fiction I read of Natalia, or Dear Natalia. But this one I only remember I only have like this sentiment of, I remember reading it and being like kind of shocked by the plot twist, and maybe it was at a time where I wasn't very focused, so it really makes me want to read it again. But I do remember this like narrator, because it's written from the first person, who is kind of fantasizing and like just kind of digs something for herself, and I kind of feel sorry for her. I just remember feeling sorry for a lot of her characters. I just feel sorry for her characters. This like just make them sad but a bit funny. It's kind of that. But I don't remember this being that... I thought that Sagittarius was much more like sad but funny. But this I was kind of just like... I think I was shocked by how people lived at the time, and just by the... I feel like I experienced a sort of culture shock by reading this book. So I remember being immersed in it, but like the culture shock was more of a relevant thing to me than the actual plot line, so now I'm very curious to read it again. But I remember I liked it, and I remember when I looked at my Goodreads this morning to prepare for this video, I apparently rated it 4 stars, so I'm pretty sure it was good.
I want to read it, but the mothers are often, in her novels, are often kind of sad, like in
it's intense.
All Our Yesterdays as well.
It's intense. Yeah, that's true.
But
Elena
to
Ferrante
make
also...
like the leap to family lexicon.
Okay.
Sorry.
No.
I only read like the first chapters, but her mother doesn't strike me as unhappy at all. Like,
so her mother is
her own mother
cool.
is actually very. She's a bit.
I mean, that makes sense.
She's a bit like dramatic, maybe, but she's like playing and laughing, and she has like these friends she entertains who are always younger than she is, and.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah. So and yeah.
So Family Lexicon is a sort of memoir novel.
She calls it a novel, although it's like, she also says that none of it, like, she often could feel her mind going to in like the habit of inventing things, but then she was like, no, this is gonna be factual all the way, like only things that I remember being real, happening. She didn't even change the names, so all the names in there are like real, like the real people. Natalia Ginzburg wrote her masterful autobiographical novel Family Lexicon while living in London in the 1960s. Homesick for her Italian family, she summoned them in this celebration of the routines and rituals, in-jokes and insults, and above all, the repeated sayings that make up every family. Giuseppe?
Yes,
Giuseppe
that we can know how to pronounce. Giuseppe
is a Jewish scientist, consumed by his work and a mania for hiking. Impatient and intractable, he's constantly at odds with his impressionable and wistful wife Lydia. Yet he cannot be without her. Together they preside over their 5 children in a house filled with argument and activity, books and politics, visitors, friends and famous faces. But as their children grow up, against the backdrop of Mussolini's Italy, the Levi household must become not only a home, but a stronghold against fascism. Intimate, enchanting, and comedic, Family Lexicon is an unforgettable novel about language, memory, and lasting power that family holds over all of us. Whoa, the last part was difficult. Anyway, what I wanted to say is it is a lot about language, a lot about sayings they had within their family, so it feels a bit like I'm so sad that I can't
You're
read.
lost in translation of the translation.
I mean, the translation is really good, but I would
but is it like
enjoy
major...
reading it in Italian, because then you really get the inside jokes they have, and
but
sometimes
is it like really, is it like a predominant thing in the book, or is
in the beginning a bit, but also like the family life, and it's very informative having read her other, like her novels. It's really interesting to read, like, okay, this is like all part of a real life.
Yeah, maybe what she meant with when she was talking about that you should read this as a novel. Like, this is real, this actually happened, and these are real names, and all, I didn't invent anything, but you should read it as a novel. Maybe she meant that, like, I don't know, but I'm speculating. Maybe she meant that she wrote it in a sort of narrative format that for her resembles the format that she uses to write her novels. Do you think that could be accurate in what you've read so far?
Yes.
Yeah?
Yeah, it's like it reads like a novel.
Yeah,
it doesn't. It's not much,
because a lot of memoirs
very factual.
Are, yeah, okay.
Factual anecdotes.
But
like
so
it's
are
fun.
her novels.
The pacing is really nice.
But so are her novels.
Yeah, I mean, it's not like a memoir in.
Yeah.
In that it like contains like deep reflections about everything that happened to her. It's just like a recollection of them.
Yeah, I mean, those are different, because a lot of people, especially like memoir writers, they're like, what is a memoir? It's like basically you kind of draw, you draw from your experience a sort of wisdom of life or whatever, while fiction or like novels or autobiographical novels are much more about the story itself, and but it sounds fun.
Yeah, I don't know. It's difficult to categorize it.
It's very difficult. I don't know enough about it, or haven't read enough about it. But I do think there's also this need, this like a bit of you need to categorize it because there's a right way of reading and blah blah blah. But you know, people read books in a different way. To quote Elena Ferrante, which I wanted to talk about in the beginning, but I didn't. Yeah. But I think it's pretty perfect actually, because she talks about how in all of these books that we're discussing and that we're talking about, there is a third book, and there's also, I mean, there's my version of Natalia Ginzburg books, and there's your version of this book, and it exists somewhere, but it doesn't exist physically. It's not the book that the writer wrote, it's not the book that the reader reads. Or wait, no. It's the book that is created in the relationship. Well, anyway, Elena Ferrante says it better. She says, therefore, I always listen with great curiosity to people who talk about books I love. I hear them discussing precisely books by no one, Between the book that is published and the book that readers buy, there is always a third book, a book where beside the written sentences are those which we imagined writing. Beside the sentences that readers read are sentences they have imagined reading. This third book, elusive, changing, is nevertheless a real book. I didn't actually write it. My readers haven't actually read it, but it's there. It's the book that is created in the relationship between life, writing, and reading.
Very true. You can even see it like in when we read the same, like the little virtues or the dry heart, we underline passages, but it's sometimes it overlaps, but it's often very different passages. So that's you can see what she means there. That's some different parts write the book.
Yeah, and especially like I feel like also the quality of a book when it speaks to so many people in such different ways. I feel like that's what the little virtue does so well. It's like it really reverberates with everyone, but it like hits in such a different way.
Yeah.
But yeah, Family Lexicon seems really cool. She really
I'm
writes.
very curious.
She really writes about family a lot, like family relationships and family dynamics.
Yeah.
It's super interesting. Introduction by Tim Parks. I don't know Tim Parks. All right. Yeah. So, Family Lexicon.
No. Oh, yeah.
Sagittarius. I remember this so well. You would love this. It's so good. I love it. It's very short. It's 122 pages. Well, kind of most of her short novels are around the same length. I think Sagittarius and The Dry Heart, which we have both read, is the ones that I really remember the most in terms of narrative because they're so striking. So in Sagittarius, I'm just gonna read the blurb. A domineering mother moves from a small town to the suburbs of a city with her daughter and son-in-law, yet soon grows restless with her new life. When she strikes up a friendship with the mysterious Skila, again with the names, sorry, her world suddenly seems rich with potential, and before long, the pair are planning to open an art gallery together. After a series of afternoons spent over coffee granitas in local bars, however, it quickly becomes apparent that there is more to Skila than meets the eye. Class, in all its manifestations and aspirations, is at the heart of Sagittarius, as misplaced confidence and ambition gone awry. As misplaced confidence and ambition gone awry leads inexorably towards the downfall of a family. This was super good. It's like you have this sense of in the beginning it starts off, so it's narrated all throughout from the perspective of her daughter, which I found super interesting because she's not really an active participant in the story.
How old is
she? She's studying. She says that she's studying and she just spends her time studying and reading in the city. So I think she's like either late teens or early 20s, and she just witnesses her mother going through these things, and her mother is basically obsessed with status. So she always wants more, and her mother, it's also like an exploration of like femininity and womanhood in that time, because her mother really strives. She wants to be like this businesswoman. She wants to have the status, and it's not even it's not even about being rich or about the money itself, but she really craves this. Like she really wants to have this position and being regarded in society. So it explores also like this, the gaze of society onto the women and what women are expected to be. And she really wants to like defy expectations. And that's what I felt of the mother.
That's so interesting that you get this extra layer of then another woman.
Yeah, that her daughter is the one who narrates it, because it's really like it's really about the downfall. For me, it's about the downfall of the mother. And it goes really intense. The plot is so engaging. Dare I say, I would always find this as engaging as The Dry Heart. Because something's weird is happening. Yeah. Like you can feel it, but the scenes are so vivid. It really like passes in front of your eyes, and and also how it happens is really like the plot twist in the end was so good. I could see this as a movie. I wonder if it's made as a movie. If it's not, it should be, or a play. It also has this like play quality in it. I really liked it, and I feel like it's also again one of these stories. Like it's of course explicitly set in Italy at the time, but it could be set anywhere. It's really about the story of greed, like what greed can get you. Yeah. classic. It's classic. I feel like it's a classic. Sagittarius.
Interesting. I think that's gonna be after Family Lexicon. I'm gonna read that one.
Yeah. I feel like it's also, as an introduction to Natalia Ginzburg, it's nice to read her short books first. So that you know if you like her or not. And, you know, in general, she really speaks to, I don't know, she has this... For fans of Elena Ferrante, you would definitely like this. So now...
To Dry Heart.
The Dry Heart.
Bye.
Bye. Yeah, so The Dry Heart was so good. I talked about it in my favorite 2023 books. It was really good. I even read the introduction, like the first paragraph. I said in my other video, there's no other way to introduce this book but then reading the first paragraph. Basically, where she says, I shot him between the eyes.
Yeah.
And you're like, what the fuck did he do? That like this woman just shoots him between the eyes. And so that's the whole novel. It starts like that, and she rewinds. It's one of the first books that she like starts with the hook, and then she rewinds it. Yeah,
that's indeed, because you have, with the other two, you describe this feeling of something being up. Here you like, something's up.
Something's up. She shoots him, and you wonder what happened.
And then it goes like fast and slow at the same time.
It's
like
really,
you feel like
the pacing is good.
Yeah, because it's like pretty short, 4 years, I think. It's over the course of 4 years.
Yeah, because they had a baby.
You have a pretty good idea of what's happening. You don't feel like you're missing out on any details or anything. But still, it's like pretty slow. Like you get, for example, when she describes going to the park with her kid, it's like really at ease. It's not, you don't have this feeling of her hurrying through the story.
Yeah, she's really good at pacing.
Yeah,
that's what I've noticed with Natalia Ginzburg. It's perfect. Everything, like even her essays. Like,
but you remember the passage in The Little Virtues, My Vocation? She talks about having like 4 older brothers, and she's always like having to fight and say stuff like very, very fast because otherwise no one was listening to her, or she would be like cut off. And I feel like maybe this urgency is, you can see it in her writing as well, but still here I found that it didn't bother me. It was like sometimes I felt very relaxed.
Yeah, it's true. A lot of like thrillers, especially in terms of like someone kills someone in the end, you're like, sometimes it drags into like the scenes, but she knows exactly which scenes to put in that make you in the end realize, that's why she shot Alberto. Like it doesn't take much to realize why, right? I don't know. I was like, good, I can't wait till she shoots him. Anger, feminist anger. No, I thought it was interesting because it's like also this unusual reversal of the marital collapse by death, you know, because like usually it's the husband who kills the wife because of like, you know, it's usually passion, like, you're not obeying me, what the fuck? And then, you know, I'm laughing, but it's not funny. Like, of course, this still happens today. Like, many wives are dying at the hands of their husbands, which is a very dark reality that no one speaks of, even though it's very, very common. Just have to put it out there. And here we have the woman who actually shoots the man in the beginning, and she does it in cold blood. She's like, I shot him between the eyes.
Yeah, it wasn't that was that. At all.
And that was that. And I just wanted to shut him up. She was just like raging it. But then, of course, when you go through the book, you understand also what she's just been through, which we can't really reveal because it's too much of a... I don't know. Yeah. I mean, so many things happen in such few pages without it feeling rushed. Rushed.
Exactly what I mean.
And I thought it was really, really, really great in that sense. And I also like the fact that a lot of her characters are artists and readers. Like Sagittarius, the narrator, is the daughter, and she's always reading books. And here the narrator, Alberto is always drawing.
True.
And always is sketching in his notepad or whatever. And she is... What I find interesting is that she is nameless. So everyone has names, but she doesn't have a name.
Yeah, that's when I prepared the book club. I had to ask you, like, I was going through the book again. I was like, what's her name?
But it doesn't really matter, actually.
No, because I didn't even realize
You
it
don't
until
realize.
we did the book club, and I was like, who, like...
That's super interesting when the author decides not to name their narrator. I really like that. Because at the same time, it's supposed to add, having a name, supposed to add some depth and reality to it, but here it was not at all even noticeable. We didn't even realize it.
No.
You asked a really interesting question when we had this book club about because basically in the beginning they don't really love each other, and she's kind of aware, she's dimly aware of the fact that she doesn't really love him. And here in the beginning, for example, in this blurb, she says, a lonely young woman living in a boarding house meets an older man called Alberto. They go for long walks along the river and on the outskirts of the city. They look like lovers, although they're not. That was a bit, because that's not like what you feel from the book itself.
In the beginning, they're friends for some time, and then she's convinced of the she lets her imagination run wild and convinces herself to fall in love. Yeah. Though he doesn't feel the same, Alberto asks her to marry him, and they have a baby. But Alberto is a man who tires quickly of everything. And we want to shoot these men. Just kidding. But I didn't really read it in the same way.
That's super
you
interesting.
did. Like, I wasn't like, of course, I was like, Alberto, but I didn't feel like hatred towards him, like, for example, the book that I'm reading right now.
No, I felt exasperation towards him. I was really more like, really? But at the same time, because it's super interesting, because she knows deep down that she doesn't love him in that way. But she convinces herself she loves him, as she says it here. And in those passages, she really, like, you can really see the character.
You can see it happening.
Yeah, you can really see her realizing, but I'm not happy then when this happens, because I feel like it feels like she convinces herself in a way that she imprisons, she like imprisons herself in her false beliefs and in her commitment. And because of that, she's pissed off at Alberto, and the fact that Alberto is so inconsistent, and the fact that Alberto has another girlfriend that she knows about and that she even confronts him about.
Yeah, she convinces herself, and then she becomes kind of obsessed with him. And what was the point?
Yeah, right?
But because she doesn't become obsessed with him, but with the fact that he makes her feel more than she thought she was. Like, in the beginning, she thinks she's kind of this grayish person, not destined to be with anybody, just being a teacher like, everything was like calm. And then she meets him and she feels this, oh my god, I can be this woman, I can be desired. And I think that's what she becomes obsessed with at some point, but then she loses it again quickly, because of course it's not sustainable. But it's very, she puts a lot of her self-worth in him liking her, and if he would fall away, then that self-worth that she just gained, then it would also fall away. So she doesn't want to lose that.
Yeah, it's a really interesting exploration of femininity and like the expectations that you bring upon yourself as a product, I think, of the social context that we're brought up in. And I feel like that's also in the context of the narrative. She even, I think, says it at some point. That's what people do, right? It's like, this is what I should do, so I should, I kind of like him. I don't really like anyone else. Yeah. I mean, I don't love him necessarily, but he's nice. We have good times together. He makes me feel special. The next step should probably be to get married. And I don't even know, like, how it turned out to be that they got married. And I feel like even from Alberto's perspective, it was also the same thing. Just like, well, I guess this is what people do. Because he's with this girl that is married herself. And that's why he can't be with her, right?
Yeah. But he's also much older than she's. I feel like what she's going through is something as a teenager with my first loves I experienced, being like so insecure to lose this person's like gaze, like obsession with me, because it made me feel so good, and that's what she experienced. And she's super young, but that's so like it doesn't mean anything.
All because we are
so
programmed
fleeting.
to procreate.
Yeah,
it's so that new.
It's like our validation comes from other people, and
but you were programmed. We're like, oh shit, good viable mate. We're gonna have babies together. This is it, and then you're like, okay, if I would, and then you reproduce, and then you're like, what? Fuck, I don't want this man. Like when you're a teenager, when you look back in your relationships, you wonder,
oh my god, we were like. I'm not gonna say this.
I feel. But just to talk about that specific theme or topic, now that you just mentioned that, I'm like, oh no, our daughters they're gonna go through the same thing. It's gonna be so difficult. We have daughters of the same age. They were born 2 days apart. So we read the same books and we make the same babies. and we often talk about this, and I guess that's why we explore womanhood and femininity and feminism through books, because we're trying to figure this out ourselves.
Trying to see the world while we're in our homes and
exactly. Yes. Also for that. Also because we can't live life, so at least we can live them comfortably. But to talk about the teenage love again, I'm just like so, I don't know, I'm so scared. I'm so scared. But I mean, I have to trust them. We have to trust them. So this was books by oh shit fuck Natalia Ginzburg party. Book party. We're such nerds. This is how we have fun. So we definitely recommend her to lovers of Elena Ferrante, lovers of Sally Rooney. That's how I'm gonna title the video.
To mothers, non-mothers, fathers,
mothers, daughters, women, fathers, men. If you want people, if you want women to like you, sisters, daughters, everyone, humans,
very
human beings.
That's why it's so
aliens, animals, dogs. Just kidding. That's such a slapstick joke. But no, I was looking for my little virtues, and I think, if all the novels don't really speak to you, I feel like we can both agree that the little virtues is really for everyone.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Really. Yeah. I was even when I read it, I was like, Hannes, you have to read this.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I was really like, you have to read this. You have to read this.
I also had felt the urge to recommend it to people who normally don't read or don't read the same things I do.
I think people should start with the little virtues if they want to start with Natalia Ginzburg. Don't you think?
Yeah. True.
Because you read The Dry Heart because of the book club, but I think it would be, I think that's a good book to start with. And all her other books. They're all great. Next time we'll
read the novels first and then family...
it's
also a novel, but don't go into that again. Anyway, but it's nice to have it as a last...
Yeah, I can imagine. That's why I was saving it.
This is why she wrote this.
Yeah, I also have the same. I was saving it, for example. Well, this one when I read about Ferrante, so I read the Neapolitan Quartet first, and then I ordered this book, Frantu Maglia. Mm-hmm. Oh my god, I really wish I could pronounce this right. A writer's journey, and she writes about... I actually skipped the whole first part because she writes about the books that I haven't read yet, and I would rather read them first before knowing the mechanism behind the books, behind how she wrote them. But anyway, Italian authors are the shit. They're so good. Yeah, it's really, for me, it's like a revelation as well. I never really... It's not like I sought them out. It was just accidental. It was just I read stuff, and then it just... These Italian authors just fell on me, and
paths had to cross
exactly.
At some point.
And next time I want to read Cesare Pavese.
Can you say her name again?
No, I'm not gonna say this name again. Here, you read this. Okay, bye.
Oh, it's a guy. No, it's a guy.
It's a guy. Anyway, bye.
Bye.
What's an outro message? I don't know. Subscribe. What?
That's it.
Okay, I'll do an outro message. So
you want me to leave?
No.
Okay.
No. So if you want to see our first video of this series where we talk about specifically the little virtues, go and click on the link below. And maybe if you want to know more about Italian authors, we're not Italian experts, but maybe we'll go on a trip to Italy and discover that and learn Italian.
Then we will become experts.
And then we'll become experts. I really wish I could learn Italian. Now that all these Italian books, especially that is very close to French, actually. I realized it watching these Italian shows. I'm like, why didn't I pick Italian in school? Like, I should have picked Italian in school.
You could.
Yeah. We had, like, languages. We could choose German, Spanish, or Italian or Arabic.
What did you pick?
I picked Spanish.
Okay.
Which it's also interesting and it's also good, but now I'm more interested in learning Italian than consolidating my Spanish. But yeah. Anyway, see, it was just more blabbering.
Bye.
That was so awkward. Yay, we did it!